Ahead of the third phase of Bengal polls, the BJP has now released an audio tape of alleged conversations between Ganesh Bagadia, close aide of coal scam accused Anup Maji, and a Bengal government official. The tape alleges corruption by Abhishek Banerjee.
একজন রেগে যাচ্ছেন কি বললে জয় শ্রীরাম বললে আরেকজন রেগে যাচ্ছে কি বললে তোলাবাজ ভাইপো বললে
তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসে কি হয়ে গেছিল একটা পরিবার বিশেষ হয়ে গেছিল ওর সাধারণ লোকের কাজ হচ্ছিল না সাধারণ লোকে তো লুট হচ্ছিল
Hello, this time the focus shifts back to Bengal and there's a reason why. Because Mamata Banerjee's family, which till now was kept away from the hustle and bustle in the battle for Bengal, has now occupied center stage. I'm Pallavi Ghosh and my this week's One Take asks this question is her nephew or Bhaipo Abhishek Banerjee now emerging as a political liability for her? Well, just a few days before Diamond Harbour went to vote, and that's the constituency of Abhishek Banerjee, there were these audio tapes which were released, and the BJP, of course, held several press conferences over it. Those audio tapes alleged that aides were very close to Abhishek Banerjee, were actually giving out details of money transactions and how the coal scams and several other scams were actually leading up to the doorstep of Abhishek Banerjee.
পশ্চিমবঙ্গের ক্ষেত্রে তথা ভারতবর্ষের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা মনে করি সরকারি মদতপুষ্ট একটা সবচেয়ে বড় স্ক্যাম দুর্নীতি আপনারা দেখবেন সেখানে মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রীর ভাইপোকে কেন্দ্র করে অনেকগুলি তথ্য কথোপকথন সামনে এসেছে এবং এতে 12-13 সাল থেকে শুরু হওয়া এই বড় দুর্নীতি কয়লা বালি গরু পাচার সহ এই দুর্নীতিতে প্রায় 900 কোটি টাকা সরাসরি ভাইপোর কাছে পৌঁছে দিয়েছেন বিনয় মিশ্র আজকে গ্রেফতার হওয়া ইডির হাতে পুলিশ অফিসার অশোক মিশ্র সহ এই বড় র‍্যাকেট
Now, the picture which people do have of Mamata Banerjee is what? It's about her in a cotton sari. She wears a Hawaii chappal. She walks briskly on the roads from one place to another, and she travels in an almost dilapidated car. No frills attached, no nepotism, and akla cholore. All that began to change slowly, and that is because Bhaipo or Abhishek Banerjee emerged on the picture. Now, who is he essentially? Well, I mean, he's a management graduate, and he's businessman, but more than that, his clout emerges from the fact that he shares a surname which is similar to that of Mamata Banerjee. He was dropped into politics, and he replaced SUVENDU as the president of the All India Trinamool Congress's youth wing. And that became the undoing of what was happening inside the party. SUVENDU, in fact, at one point of time told me that I had to climb up using the steps, unlike some people who were dropped from above. Clearly, his indication was towards Abhishek Banerjee. Not just SUVENDU, even when Mukul Roy quit, Dinesh Trivedi quit, and all of them are people who were there with her right from her rise. They know her inside out. All of them said one common thing. Among various factors for why they quit the TMC, according to them, one of the main reasons was the brashness, the arrogance, and the growing power of Abhishek Banerjee. Well, politicians always have their relatives. Fathers have their sons. Mothers have their sons too, and daughters who are vying for an important political space. But what's the problem over here? The problem is that it's given the BJP an issue on the platter. I was talking about that perception about Mamata Banerjee. Well, that perception has taken a huge hit. What became her USP at one point of time is now being slowly eroded. A large number of people have begun to believe the narrative which has been pushed forward by the BJP, and that narrative is that it's a government which is run by Tolabazi, that is cut money, and it's also a government which is run by Bhaipo, which is the nephew, Abhishek Banerjee. Now, till her ministers and party leaders were involved, she could always distance herself by saying, I was unaware, it's got nothing to do with me, I am a lone woman who's running a party, and these things, I guess, happens in all political parties. Fair enough, many people would believe that. But what's very difficult to believe is that she was completely unaware that this kind of a problem was happening within the family. Now, at one point of time, Dinesh Trivedi, SUVENDU ADHIKARI, Mukul Roy, they would all meet her daily over cha and aloo chop and bhaja muri, which is a traditional Bengali snack. Slowly that paved way to sandwiches and tea, and that was something which Abhishek Banerjee was having with her. The change in the Trinamool Congress, the Ma Mati Manush Trinamool Congress, has slowly becoming very, very apparent. So that's where the problem is. Now, the positive side of Abhishek Banerjee is that because he's savvy, English speaking, he's suave, he actually could have been a connect between the state politics of the TMC and at the national level. Because at the end of the day, it's very clear that Mamata Banerjee now wants to have a national perspective. Whenever the next Lok Sabha elections are taking place, she would want to assume as a leadership of a national or federal front. She tried to do that in the previous Lok Sabha. That's where Abhishek Banerjee perhaps could be the connect between the Delhi as well as Kolkata in terms of, the same language, speaking out to younger leaders like possibly Rahul Gandhi and so on. But the pitfalls or the negatives far outweigh the positives perhaps which Abhishek Banerjee can bring on the table. And these are not my opinions, these are the perceptions which I have built up after I've spoken to so many people, whether it's in Howrah, whether it's in Hooghly, in Kolkata. The biggest apprehension is that we don't have a problem with DIDI as such, but we are scared that he's going to come back. Now, why is it a problem if he's going to come back? Well, the problem for the cadre is that they had open access to Mamata Banerjee. That access has been curtailed. So if you want to reach out, there's one other address you have to go through, which is that of Abhishek Banerjee. That makes him very uncomfortable because he's clearly not Mamata Banerjee. He doesn't have that kind of a grassroots, shrewd, grounded political sense. And those who've actually been with her right from the beginning are not very comfortable doing business with him. So they are very worried that, she may come back, mean that, he's also going to come to play an increased or a more powerful role. The second worry is her complete distrust of many within the party. That complex that they're out to get me. I can't trust my party people completely because I don't know who's actually going to leave me in the end. She's often called them Mir Jafar, SUVENDU ADHIKARI and, Mukul Roy and Dinesh Trivedi. So they are worried that, she doesn't trust anyone. Will she ever trust us? And they blame Abhishek Banerjee for this. He's the eyes and ears of Mamata Banerjee. It is also said that after the Lok Sabha elections where the BJP did very well and went into double digit, it was his idea that Prashant Kishore should be brought in. When he questioned that why would a shrewd and astute politician like Mamata Banerjee require a political strategist, but that's where they said that Abhishek Banerjee played an important role. Well, my sources say that's not entirely correct. Yes, he supported her decision. It was also her call. What we are noticing, and that is becoming very obvious slowly, is that she is now going in for a certain distancing from Abhishek Banerjee. Now, for example, when she came out in a public appearance for the first time after she was injured and on a wheelchair, there was supposed to be a small roadshow from the hospital to Hazra Mode, that's almost the center of Kolkata. That was to be organized by Abhishek Banerjee. But it was interesting to see that she came out, she reaches Hazra Mode, Abhishek Banerjee is nowhere there. He comes in only after she's left for her campaigning in other parts of Bengal. Those who are aware of the nitty-gritties and the intricacies of the party and the strategy, they are noticing that he's not sharing much stage with her. In fact, not many posters of Abhishek Banerjee and Mamata Banerjee are together. It's very clear she wants to maintain the distance, but perhaps it's a little bit too late. I'm already going through my social media timeline and they all seem to be saying the same thing. She could have avoided Abhishek Banerjee factor. It's the corruption allegations against him. The fact that it's coming so close to her. It's almost on her doorstep. She cannot have the Dhritarashtra attitude anymore. She cannot anymore say that, I was completely unaware. That is something which many fear could be the undoing of Mamata Banerjee when the electoral results come out. Distancing is fine. We've seen many politicians do that. We've also seen many politicians fall down because of a love of their relative. Will that be the nemesis of Mamata Banerjee? Well, the jury is still out. Do give in your reactions on my social media timeline, on Cracks as well. We are going to be back more as elections are still on in the state of West Bengal. Politics is on as well.